welcome back to another episode. My name's Rick, and my aim is to help you realize the truth that feeling great is your natural state. So, today I want to take a few minutes just to talk about what I believe to be the single most powerful and most important benefit of meditation that I have come across so far in the last 3, 4, 5 years of meditating regularly. So, from my experience, the single greatest benefit of meditation is definitely freedom from the monkey mind. And by monkey mind, I mean the human mind. The mind that just wants to keep chattering and basically just talk you out of doing things which you might want to do, or cast the seeds of doubt into your mind when you obviously don't want them there. And basically it's a very, very limiting feature of the mind. It's basically the ego. And the ego is it's essentially a self-preservation mechanism, but like I just listed before, it can stop you from doing so many things that you might want to do by casting doubt, a feeling of self-worth, lack of self-worth, and lots of other little handbrakes on our own personal development and ability to enjoy life. Anyway, my personal greatest benefit that I can totally testify 110% from meditating regularly is complete freedom from the mind. And it hasn't been an overnight process. It took a while. It was almost like in the gym where you start and you get beginner gains. I definitely noticed an improvement at the start, but then it was a bit more gradual. But over time, the effects definitely compounded. And it was only really looking back over the last number of years that I can really see how much of a benefit it has become. So when I say freedom from the mind, I'll give you an example right now. For the better part of my life, I've had a few negative stories running in the back of my mind on autopilot, to say the least. And one of them used to come out whenever I would have been out drinking years ago with friends while at university. It would have been whenever I got home from a night out. It was a great time, and I'd collapsed on the bed from tiredness, of course. And flashbacks would appear in my mind from many years prior. It was usually an episode between my dad and myself, where he and I were at locker horns. We had been arguing about something, and I think I might have been 7 or 8, and he said something one night which very much caused a very deep psychological scar, and that scar didn't manifest. Well, it didn't consciously manifest for a long time, and it was not until I was about 20, 21, whenever I was at university and going out with friends, and occasionally it would flare up getting home. That vivid memory. It didn't ever flare up before, but maybe it had some other self-limiting effects throughout my life which I hadn't been aware of at the time. More than likely, it probably accounted for my lack of self-confidence throughout the years. More than likely, the more I think about it. Anyway, because of these flashbacks, they caused a lot of trauma. The trauma caused trauma, I should say, and it was horrible because, you know, your father figure is meant to be a very foundational, caring figure in your life, and whenever they say something, it generally carries a lot of weight behind it. As is my father, because he's a very, very assertive, very not controlling, but a very powerful man, basically, you know, in his job, his career, and at home as well. So what he said that night basically left a big imprint in well, I suppose my psyche, for use of a better term, and it manifested a lot of nights, well, drinking, like I said, back at university. So that actually did positively, I suppose you could say, it had a positive effect in that I didn't really drink as much, didn't really go out as much, I suppose, because in Northern Ireland drinking is quite a lot of the culture. It's quite entrenched within the culture, for better or worse, more likely worse. Anyway, so these episodes kept recurring over a period, certainly over a period of a few months, 4, 5, 6 months, and then it became less common, but it would still appear every now and again over the following years. And it wasn't until I was about 25 when I stumbled upon the art of meditation. And I wasn't fully aware of it at the time, but whenever I started meditating, this story, this feedback, this trauma, these episodes, they just disappeared. They disappeared, and I couldn't explain it at the time. But now that I've learned more about meditation, I've got more experience with it, more practice with it, I think I can basically describe what happened quite succinctly. Whenever you meditate, you become aware aware of the inner thoughts, the inner stories, the inner beliefs that you tell yourself. And whenever you become aware of them, they lose their power over you, they lose the hold they have over you. Because as Eckhart Tolle says in The Power of Now, the pain body, or shadows, or negative entities in your mind, they can't stand the light of your consciousness. So whenever you're meditating, you're totally present. And any thoughts which come into your head, you're not trying to quash them or destroy them or dispel them. You're basically acknowledging their presence, and then you're letting them pass on without taking hold. It's basically like, I like it to pull out a weed in the garden before it spreads, before it takes root. That's what I view these negative thoughts like. But with your mind, you're not, like I say, you're not destroying the roots or the weeds. You're basically just acknowledging them and letting them pass before they can spread and take hold. So the more I did this, the more aware I became of the stories that were running on autopilot in my mind. Basically, there was a lot of stuff just going on which I wasn't aware of until I started to meditate. And then whenever it surfaced, that's whenever I became aware of it. And that's whenever I was able to gain control over it and let it go. Simply just let it go, which enabled me to rise to a higher frequency. And it's illustrated perfectly in Power versus Force with the scale of consciousness. You've got the destructive emotions down at the bottom of the scale, your fear, shame, apathy, grief, despair, etc. And at the top you have love, joy, peace, and enlightenment. And then a lot of different emotions in the middle. So whenever you have negative stories or experiences or episodes which keep replaying, for instance, whenever you're a little bit inebriated, that can have a devastating effect and it can pull you down very, very easily, very quickly. And unless you're aware of this, it will hold you down and it will keep happening. You might think it'll go away by itself. Maybe it will, but it probably won't. So the only way around it is to address it, and you can address it through meditation. Also, whenever I say you get freedom from the mind in meditation, you also get a lot more grounded, from my own experience, and you become a lot more aware of your emotions, and you can control your emotions a lot more. And I think that ties in very much with the scale of consciousness, because whenever you learn to let go of the negative emotions, the baggage, your emotional scale rises all the way up. You rise up to your natural state of feeling great. You're vibing high. But you can only do that whenever you become aware of what's holding you back, and whenever you let it go, that's when you will naturally raise. So there are many, many, many benefits to meditation, not least of all the physical, mental benefits, such as reduced blood pressure, increased longevity, reduced rate of aging, improved sleep quality, improved sense of well-being, and that's just to name a few. So obviously there are many, but to me the most powerful one was the one which gave me freedom from my mind and ultimately ego. So I hope you gained some degree of value from this video today, and sorry if it was a little bit raw. It was very much a tender topic for me, but it's lost almost all of its hold over me now, which is just, it's fantastically liberating for me, really, really liberating. And if I can do it and liberate myself from such negative beliefs and miserable self-stories which have been going on in the back of my mind for a long time, then anyone can do it, because it's not that hard to do. Once you set your mind to it, once you set the intention, you'll do it. Anyway, as always, I hope you gained some degree of value from this today, and if you have any thoughts, please post away in the comment section. If you agree with what I say, if you disagree, any questions, the more the merrier. And again, as always, thanks again for watching. All the best and take care.